All right, here we go. Hello everybody and welcome to another review from Alltech Canada. This is Mo Dabas and today we have the Asus Zenfone 4 Pro. So this came out last year, and as usual I'm gonna start with the specs. So I'm gonna write them. I already wrote them down here for those who wanna check them out and all. So the display is 5.5 inches. Here you go. Yeah, no, that fits in. So we have a 5.5 inches AMOLED screen. It's a 1080p display, and for those who are looking for the PPI, it's 401 approximately. It has Gorilla Glass 5, and internally it has a Snapdragon A35 processor, 6 gigs of RAM, and 64 or 128 gigabyte of storage, depending on the market. And it has a 3600 milliamp battery. For the camera, it has dual camera at the back. Oops, here you go. Dual camera at the back. The first one is the regular one. It's a 12 megapixel camera lens with the f1.7 and the other one is the optical zoom one. So it has 2x zoom, optical zoom for a telephoto lens. Up at the front there's a single 8 megapixel camera, and to be honest, other than that, the phone is pretty much in case of other special features, that's pretty much it. It's a dual SIM, and it can support an SD card as well. So we're gonna put this one. So as usually, I've been using this phone for about a month. However, I resetted the phone so that I don't get any of my personal information on YouTube. I've used it for a month, and there are several things that I liked about it and several things that I didn't like about it. So I'm gonna start with what I like about this phone. Well, as the specs suggest, this phone performance is really top of the line. So with the 6 gigs of RAM, the Snapdragon A35 processor, really it can handle pretty much all the tasks really easily. Doesn't have problem processing anything. And well, Asus UI, it's full of their apps and whatnot, themes and so on. The skin is still light, so it doesn't affect the performance. It's still fast. And when it comes to other things like the screen is an AMOLED screen, which I like. I prefer it over what I'm using right now, the Xiaomi, which uses an LCD. I'm gonna give a review of this one soon, the Xiaomi Mi Mix 2. I prefer the AMOLED screen over LCDs. However, some people might not like the AMOLED because of the saturated colors, but for me, I prefer AMOLED screens over LCDs. Other than that, the battery is average. Actually, from my use, I was getting around 4.5–5 hours screen on time, and not until I wrote down the specs, I found out that the battery is actually 3600 milliamp, which to be honest, I thought it's around, from my use and how much battery I'm getting, I thought it's around 3200 milliamp, 3300 milliamp, that range. I didn't expect that it's 3000, it's bigger than that. So battery is something I wish it was a bit better, but it is what it is. Other than that, we can start with the things that other than that, the phone is pretty much it's a basic Android smartphone. There isn't any special features to write home about. The UI is there. Many won't like it. I personally didn't mind it. It's different a bit than the stock Android, but it's not a deal breaker for me. You get used to it in a couple of days or so. For the things I didn't like about this phone, first of all, the design. So this phone came out in, well, the end of 2017, early 2018. I'm not 100% sure. So it's last year's, because now they're starting to produce the Zenfone 5. So this is pretty much last year's model. However, if you see the design, it's pretty much, and you compare it to something like the Samsung Galaxy Note 5, which came out in 2015. So that's a 3-year-old phone. You can see pretty much the design is similar. To be honest, I prefer the Samsung design because when you look at the two phones, so when you look at the two phones, they're pretty much the same size. Actually, the Asus is a bit bigger. It's a bit taller, but marginally. However, this phone has a 5.5-inch screen, while the Note 5 has a 5.7-inch screen. So, and that's pretty much because there's tons of space at the bottom and top and the sides compared to the Note. So, I understand they might want to make some bigger chassis to fit the battery. However, with that size, they could have easily made the phone into a 5.7-inch screen or something close to that. That's one of the things I didn't like about this phone. It feels bulky, even though you don't get all the space up front. I think the screen to body aspect ratio is in the 72 or something. Other than that, another thing that I don't like is the interface itself. It's while I got used to it, it sometimes glitches. You get I'll try to replicate one of them. So for example, if let's say you're browsing the internet, sure, and you go click, yeah, you kind of get like, if you're on a page and you close in and turn it back on, you can sometimes still get, before it switches back to the wallpaper, sometimes you get the whatever app you had open before it shows you the wallpaper. You get those kind of small glitches, which is, to be honest, I wasn't bothered with them, but I wish Asus can iron out those small software things. Another thing, all right. So another thing that I didn't like about it is the screen. Now, this is an AMOLED screen, which I really like. However, the auto brightness on it is always on the low side. Now, in this case, we have the light on top of it, so it's already put to the max. However, if you go, when regular use, the auto brightness, even though I always put it at the max brightness, it's not really bright enough. So most of the time what I used to do is just turn off the auto brightness and put it somewhere wherever I feel is more comfortable. Another thing is the vibrator of this phone, and I know it's not a big deal, the vibrator of the phone, its function is just to vibrate and whatnot. However, this one feels really cheap and sounds cheap as well. Well, it didn't make a huge vibration right here, but if you're using the phone, the vibration motor is really cheap. You can feel it's really cheap, and it makes a cheap sound at the same time. It doesn't feel good when you're holding it. No, I know this isn't the purpose of having a phone. Another thing that I don't like is the audio. Now, this one comes with a DAC supposedly. However, for some reason when I'm using it, and the sound of the DAC was worse than when I disabled that whatever system they have. I don't know actually if it's a DAC or not, because I didn't see there's a DAC in it. However, they say they have a sound system, which is, I'll try put it here, see Audio Wizard. Yeah, this guy, so whatever. When I was using the software, music was actually worse than when I turned it off, so I ended up turning it off completely. Also, when I was using it, sometimes when, let's say, I get a text, it jumps back to the regular sound, then it jumps back to this software sound and software preset sounds, and it was really annoying when you're using the phone, so I completely turned it off. And beside that, to be honest, the phone, there isn't anything to write home about. It's an average phone. There isn't any specific features. It's fast. However, these days there's tons of Android phones that are cheap and fast, so that's nothing special right here. The battery's average. The screens are right. The cameras are average. It's even though Asus have this UI heart camera thing going on the box and whatnot, the camera is pretty average. There isn't anything special about it. And yeah, that's pretty much everything I have to say about this phone. So all in all, it's a good phone if you can grab it on a deal. I think currently you can find it on Amazon for around $450-500 US, in that range. In Canada, you can get it on Amazon for around $650. On Staples as well, it's discounted for $650, around that range. I still think it's a bit overpriced for the price for what you get. If you're gonna spend around $650, I think there are better alternatives from Xiaomi and OnePlus, such as this one. This is the Mi Mix 2, which has similar hardware, the same. I'll boost up the brightness. So it has similar hardware, the same Snapdragon processor, same RAM, same storage, 1080p screen as well, even though this is an LCD. However, at the same time, you can see the design, and this is a 6-inch screen versus 5.5. You can see the design is way nicer on the Xiaomi. It feels nicer when you're using it. It doesn't feel bulky, and it has better material build. This is just glass on glass, while the other one is glass over ceramic. Camera quality was a bit better on the Asus, but not by a huge margin. So all in all, if you can find it on a really good deal, it's a very good phone. I didn't have any issues with it within the month that I've been using it. If you want to buy it brand new, I think there are several better options out there that you can look up, such as OnePlus and the Xiaomi. And that's pretty much everything I have for this phone. Yeah, if you have any questions, put them in the comments, or you can tweet me at AllTechCanada. Again, it's at AllTechCanada. And that's it. That's everything I have to say for this phone. And have a good one.